Firstly, I wanted to introduce Mansi, who we recently trained and placed at Freddie Mac here in McLean, Virginia. Uh, we invited her to come and share her experience about the training and post-training support and landing into the first job, basically. And I'm sure all of you will appreciate her input coming from a peer perspective. And I'll open up the line for you guys to ask any other questions for her as well. So thank you so much, Mansi, for coming in. I know it's a precious Saturday.
Yes, thank you. It's okay.
Thanks so much for coming by. So firstly, I'll ask some general questions that most people tend to ask, and then perhaps we'll open up the line for other folks to ask their questions. My first question is, when did you approximately complete the training, and what was the path like after the training towards your first day at job? What was the path that you traced?
Okay. In fact, I think I started off with the training sometime in 2011, and during the training, I was given this material which was documented by, which was prepared by Requirement Sync. I think that material I really used as my guide to understand what business analysis is all about. And of course, during the hands-on classes, the trainers really helped me out understand different tools, and understanding the technical terms, because it's very important to know these technical terms while you speak, and getting used to that. You can learn that during the sessions that you attend. And I was given that guide, and I really prepared myself with that booklet which was given to me. And so after my classes got over, I think I spent at least a couple of months. I just took it to myself, and I spent at least a couple of months doing my research on my own, and also visiting the Requirements Inc. consultant's website, the ID and password that was given to me. So just based on that, I prepared myself with a lot of materials which was already there in that resource site, as well as doing my own research. Also going through some websites which are for business analysts. I'm not remembering. It's FAQ, businessanalystfaq.com. And, there are quite a few websites which we were given during our training, to refer by. So I collected those materials. I used to put it in a particular repository. So that way, first I got well equipped theoretically. And then after that, I thought, okay, now it's time I need to prepare my resume. When I felt a little confident that I would be able to speak. So then, even during the research of my resume, I was helped by Srinivas and, a lot of his folks as well, like Vamshi as well. I think interview marketing was primarily handled by Srinivas. And then after that, it took me like another couple of months. I think by September, if I'm not mistaken, my resume was ready, for marketing. And then we have a special team that, Requirements Inc. has. So that team was marketing my resume, and they were constantly in touch with me to, kind of tell me to get myself contacted to different vendors. And so that's how, they marketed me. They guided me how am I supposed to really speak during vendor calls. So everything was, all the preparations was guided through by Requirements Inc. But there was a lot of work by, which was done by me as well in terms of getting prepared for the interview, which is very important. So for that, we were, I think I was in touch with Vamshi. Vamshi was hosting a lot of regular interview calls, interview prep calls, where he was discussing hands-on interviews, hands-on questions with a lot of recent interviews that, other consultants were facing. So it was like it was a time when, we all would get together on a call, and discuss our interview questions. So that really helped me prepare myself, understanding experiences of others. So first couple of interviews were a little difficult, which I anticipated, and which was even kind of, I was prepared by them as well. That let's just face it, let's see how the first couple of interviews go, and then you know going for interviews also is another experience and another practice. So I would suggest you all go for as many interviews, even if you feel that the job is really far or it's not commutable, but still just go and for the experience sake. And then during the interview also, there were specific job descriptions which were given. Based on that also, I was given that kind of Q&As, quick Q&As, that this could be the structure of your interview. So let's get prepared for that. Understanding the domain before going for an interview, that's important as well. So keep reading as many resources. If you've decided to choose the finance domain, keep reading resources, keep going to all the BA websites. There is a lot of resource available on the internet. Make use of that. So my journey has been pretty smooth because of the support that I have got from Requirement Sync, and I have got a lot of one-on-one support, I would say. So that has really helped me and build me confidence. But you have to have patience as well. You can't run out of patience. So I used to run out of patience, and Srini used to be like, you can't run out of patience. You have to be patient to get to the right job. So it's very important for all that.
That's a very good point, especially the groundwork that you need to put, because we are here to support you and help you, but there's so much you can do, so much available online, but you need a structured approach to what you learn, because you have a limited time between now and the scheduled interview. So we'll guide you with that, but the amount of resources that you collect and consume and learn the right stuff for a specific interview, that's key too. And the repository we're talking about, Mansi, how much for that? You might be able to sell a few copies today.
The repository? Well, I think it is pretty resourceful, especially for certain domains. I would not deny that, it is pretty resourceful. You just go through that much of stuff for your interview perspective. You've got a good amount of domain knowledge, I would say.
Exactly. There's so much information available, but you need to slice and dice and make it more targeted. And by the way, Mansi was talking about Vamshi. Vamshi is the trainer on the phone. He's calling in from Chicago and handling an online batch from there. And he will be the contact person for interview prep, post-training. And I'll speak a little bit about the process going from the training to resume prep and interview prep and attending interviews a little bit after this session is over. So he's the one handling that as of now. And Mansi, how are your first couple of weeks? Because obviously, and let me ask one more question before that. You come from a non-IT background, pretty much, right? From your past work experience. Yes. So a lot of people that we seem to attract are people who do not have much of an IT experience or background whatsoever. So they're always constantly questioning, is this the right move for them? Because this happens to be a logical way to get into IT without doing much of a programming. So it seems a logical path, but there's a constant, this is probably the FAQ number one that I get is, I have no IT background, is this the right thing for me? Absolutely. And coming from, that feedback from you would be really valuable because you've been there, done that from having a non-IT background. So what do you think? Is it doable?
Definitely. Even I was one of them to have that question raised because I do have a non-IT background, and I was all the time concerned, will I be able to handle the real on-the-job work which is given to me? Because I think you need to be, I don't think you have to get very technical, like understanding different languages, which is actually a developer's job per se. But you need to have an understanding of certain terms like the process of testing. What are the types of testing? That is a little technical, but I think that is important for you for you as a BA to understand while you are on the job, and understanding what platforms are developers using. That is something which you need to understand, and which is not that difficult, because you are not really ought to learn a language or something like that in this role. At the same time, you need to know what the developer's role is going to be, because you're going to be interacting with them, what a testing team role is going to be, because you're going to be interacting with them. At the end of it, you are going to understand on the job, the reality is going to be understand the business, understand what is the need of the requirement, that you are going to get an understanding from the business users. So that is the main thing, which is not going to be technical. You need to just document what they are telling you, just so that you can bring it down to the tester or the QA team and the developers team for them to develop. So that is more technical instead of, you know, uh, the actual BA role.
Right. So you certainly think it's doable.
It's definitely doable, but you need to have that constant research and reading that you have to do.
There's no substitute for that.
There's no substitute.
There's need to be a structured way of organizing this job search for sure.
So the actual instigator was requirement sync, because they knew what is available in the market, what is hot, which is the hot requirement in the market, and which is when I applied at the right time, and it just worked out.
Right, right. And Millie, I was talking about the training part of it.
Oh yes, I got good amount of training also from a consultant who is right now in Freddie. She just happened to know me well, so which is why I just took advantage, and I tried to gather what her experience was on the job front. So that helped me as well.
Right.
So keep talking to people.
And she's another example of non-IT background getting into this role.
She's a non-IT background as well.
Yes.
So yeah, that's another example. So it just boosted me up that okay, nothing is really impossible. And
right. So how does your daily job go about? You know, what's your project about? Explain a little bit about that, and how does your daily job go by? What are your tasks that you're working on currently?
Well, right now, I have just recently joined a month back. So my key, I think the first few weeks for all would be the same. That you have to read up all the legacy system documents, which is already prepared. So try and understand the processes, try and understand the legacy systems which are already built, and just try and find out what tools which the company is using. Get hands-on learning. Once you have the workstation with you, get hands-on learning by yourself. That will really help you. So I have been just doing that right now. I have been also working currently on certain enhancements of existing systems. Not really building new systems, but enhancing the current systems which are already there. So some changes are there. So for that, I have to go back to some older documents which has the actual process, and then based on that, just make the enhancement requirements.
You spoke about tools. What kind of tools does Freddie use, and how much of it was overlapping or relevant based on what you learned during the training?
I think it was mostly covered. We in Freddie we use our team. Actually, they use something called AMCP methodology, which is it's their own methodology. It's like if you all have heard of the SDLC methodology, which is used by most of the prominent companies. But Freddie Mac is using AMCP, which means that there are some systems which requires only formal documentation. Okay. And that is when, just for formal documentation, it's a simple Word document which they are following. It's a template which they are following, which is pretty straightforward. But there are some new legacy systems which are, new systems which are coming up. So they are using doors for that. Okay. Okay. So it really depends on which system you are put in.
Okay. That's interesting. When I was at Freddie, they had this FTD, Freddie Mac technology delivery process that they were promoting. So it looks like it's gotten more agile now that
yes, it's more. Yes, it's more agile.
Okay.
Right. So so I think we use at Freddie. I would say I think they use a lot of doors, ClearCase, and SharePoint as well. Okay. Testers are using quality control. But that's something which not BAs would use because they will be storing their test cases into quality control, if I'm not mistaken, right? But we will be using doors for requirements management. So that's a very handy tool. I think it's pretty hot right now. Most of the big companies are incorporating doors requirements management into their systems. So understanding the actual functioning and working of doors is quite hot right now if you put that in your resume.
Right. And then interestingly, even if they are using rational tools for all other services like change management and repository management, ClearCase and ClearQuest, they still choose Doors for its robustness for requirement management. And now that IBM has acquired it, it's still a monopoly. But even before, Doors was sought out more than Requisite Pro, which is a rational product for similar functionality.
Yeah, this is Shujit, and my question for Mansi is that what was her background to get into Freddie Mac?
I come, as I said, actually I come from a very different background related to capital markets. But in Freddie Mac, the team which I am hired for is somewhat related to capital markets and fixed income. So I did have some domain knowledge based on my past experience, but that is the domain knowledge which I'm talking about. Understanding of bonds, understanding of securities, but overall, background-wise, I didn't have much background. I built my resume targeting the mortgage industry. So I had studied up and I had read up a lot on mortgage industry, what are primary, secondary mortgage industries, and some terms related to that. So that is a background I would say that I really did my groundwork on.
And our resume prep is targeted towards what your current strengths are, because it would be a shame to start as a new BA when you have tons of experience in another relevant field. So when we help you with your resume, we provide you a questionnaire where we investigate into what you've done in the past and how much of it can be relevant and pulled into helping you acquire a position that is a mid-level or a senior position to the extent possible. So in Mansi's case, it was a no-brainer that her domain experience, we definitely wanted to take advantage of that, and we were specifically targeting Freddie and Fannie in this area, and she wanted to remain local as well. And fortunately, that worked out well for us.
Okay, great. Well, the reason I was asking is that I have a similar background, and I don't know if Mansi would be kind enough to share her repository with all of us.
For a small price, yeah.
Maybe it can be of help to us.
Honestly, what I used to do is I used to read up on a lot of websites which are related to BA. Just go on the internet. I used to just, when I had little time, I would just go on the internet and I would go through a lot of Business Analyst FAQ.com. There are a lot of questions which are related to different domains. There are multiple sites like that, which I myself found while I was researching online.
And we'll teach you additional.
Also, sorry. And also, the repository which is there in Requirements Sync consultant website, I did refer to that for domain knowledge, especially. Okay. And there are a lot of queues which are listed, right? A lot of questions which are listed out to date, whichever were
and I will asked. Show them the consultants portal also to have a look at.
To just get a sense of what is really available.
Yes, I will be sharing that. And we also teach you targeted search techniques. Like, there's abundant information out there, which is also a problem by itself. So we'll also teach you how to target your search and find the right resources quickly enough for you to look at your domain. So once we go over your existing background, we figure out what domain fits you and then what subdomain fits you. And based on that, we'll be looking at, for example, gathering glossary of terms. We'll be looking at white paper. We'll be looking at YouTube videos which are relevant to your area. You'll be amazed at the amount of information that's available out there. Software demos, for example. Companies want to be out there. So we'll take advantage of all the resources available to help you inherit all the knowledge that you need to present yourself confidently. Any other questions from folks on the phone? All right, we'll move to the classroom here in Virginia.
I guess she answered my question.
Oh,
it was
okay.
one of the questions. So.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions, you guys? Any other questions for Mansi? All right, if you think of any other questions, just shoot me an email. My email ID is Shri, SRI@requirementsinc.com. That's S as in Sam, R as in Rainbow, I as in India, @requirementsinc.com. Just shoot me an email and I'll be glad to forward it to Mansi and get her feedback for you. Thank you so much for joining us at the trial class again.